So now it's time to customize our desktop, our Postman desktop. To do that, what to do now? So we will get into the settings of our Postman. That's what I call as setting up of a Postman. Setting up Postman. So we'll look into the following topics. That's working with directory and all. So headers, user interface, themes. These are the main sections that we'll find in settings of that Postman. So Postman automatically chooses default values for some settings, so you can get a right to work. So make changes to settings at any time based on your use case or to customize your Postman experience. So to change the settings in Postman, we have to get into this top header and then get into the settings icon and click on this icon or select this icon. It will open this settings window. It will pops up the setting window. Inside that we can click on settings. That's one way, or else just say control plus comma. That's it. Either click on settings, close it, or just say control plus comma, control plus comma. This is for Windows, and you will find that. So the contents of it consists of a list of, it's a menu. So general, themes, shortcuts, data, add-ons, certificates, proxy, update, and about information. So now first we will look into the general settings. So use this settings on the general tab. This general tab. So this menu consists of few tabs. Out of that, the general tab is used to configure how Postman sends requests or to customize the Postman user interface. And you can see that it consists of different sections, out of which the most important section for us is a request section. So request section consists of different items in it, out of which the first one is trim keys and values in a request body. So that's off. So what does it mean? It turn when you turn this on, when you turn this option on or this task on, uh, to trim parameters when sending requests with form data or URL encoded data. So I'll put off this for now, and then after that we have SSL certificate verification. When we turn on, when 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 we turn this off, uh, to prevent Postman from checking the validity of SSL certificates when making requests. But when we put it on, so it's gonna do that SSL checking. It's gonna do the validation of. It will check for the validity of SSL certificates. So whenever we make a request, okay, let me put off this one. Then we have the third option, less task in that. That's always open sidebar item in new tab. So this is when we put on this, by default when you select a sidebar item, Postman opens it in the previous tab, and turn this on, always open sidebar items in a new tab. Let me put this off. And then the fourth one, always ask when closing unsaved tabs. That's what we have put this on. So by default, Postman asks if you want to save any unsaved changes when closing a tab. So turn this off to always discard unsaved changes when closing a tab. Sorry. So then we have a language detection here. So by default, Postman automatically detects the correct media type for the response body based on the content type header. So sorry. So select JSON, to always use JSON rendering for the response body. So basically anyway we'll get the JSON rendering only. However, I'll go with the auto for now. Okay, but if you want only JSON forever, you can just click on to the JSON option. Then we have the timeout. So request timeout in milliseconds. So when we enter how long, that too specifically in milliseconds, Postman will wait for a response before timing out. If you enter 0, Postman will wait for a response forever. It will keep on. For here I'll put 45. So after 45 milliseconds, okay, there is some bug in this, so I have to report this bug to the Postman community. Okay, I'll do that. That's okay. It's flickering continuously. That's fine. It happens sometime. So then what I'll do is, let me close this and open it again. So control comma. Okay, that's fine. So basically that's what is our uh, request timeout. Then we have a max response size in MB. So for that we have mentioned the 50 MB. So enter the largest response size, that too in megabytes, that Postman will download. For responses that exceed this limit, Postman asks you if you want to increase the size limit or download the response. If you enter 0, Postman downloads responses of any size. Rendering large responses may affect Postman's performance. So then the next option that we have here is request validation. So just turn this off to prevent Postman from attempting to validate requests in collections linked to an API schema. So then we have the working directory here. You scroll down and you'll find the working directory. When you send a form data or a binary file with a request body, Postman saves a path to the file as a part of the collection. The file path is relative to your working directory. Says Postman, for example, if it is uses some working directory now C, so that's what you see, that location. This is the Postman location, and in addition to that the forward slash files will be our working directory. So that's the default working directory. So if we want to use a different working directory, then we have to click on select. So what I will do is I will change this to from scratch pad. Okay. Oh, okay, we have selected it before also. So let me click on this. Okay, from scratch pad just to Postman. So I'll click. This is first workspace. This is my work directory. That's work there. That's what I'm gonna put. So it's a main work there, and I'll select this. So now that's what the working directory for us, and we can allow reading files outside the working directory, or else we can't. We don't need to allow, or we don't need to allow that. That depends upon whether you want to allow it or not. So to make collaboration easier, store files in your working directory. So storing files in your working directory ensures that requests in shared collections always work as long as you and your teammates use the same files and working directory location. So we can't change the working directory in the Postman web app. I'm talking about the web app. So there it's not possible. It's a pretty difficult task to be done. So when you upload a file, the Postman web app creates a new folder with a random name in our Postman directory in our local machines. Postman stores the uploaded file in the new folder, so you can use it when sending requests to automatically sync files you upload to the Postman web app with your local working directory. So make sure we are using the Postman desktop agent. You select the desktop agent, or else simply click on auto select. Click on toggle to the auto select on. Okay, and now let's see the header settings. Here is that header settings. In header, we have a few more things to be discussed. One is send no cache header, the first one. So recommended is to turn this off. Basically, by default, it's off, but we can, when we turn this on, to send a cache control no cache header with each request. So the no cache directive forces the server to revalidate each request and ensures you get an up-to-date response. Then we have a send postman token header. So this is a default one. We'll put it on. So when we turn this on to send a random postman token with an XML HTTP request, sending a random token ensures the receiving server handles one request at a time. So even when the requests send with the some parameters with the same parameters, the token can also aid debugging and help you distinguish between the requests on the server side. So then we have one more, that's a retain headers when clicking on links. Default is off. So when you select a link in a response, Postman creates a new get request with the link URL. So just to turn this on to keep the headers from the earlier request and the new request. That's it, nothing much. So retaining headers is useful if you mainly access protected resources. Then the final one in this header section, automatically follow redirects. Turn this off to prevent requests that return 3xx, that's a 3 times the series response from automatically redirecting. Then the most important one that we have is uh, user interface. So remove from here, we can remove tabs. You see that we have to pen view, show icons with a tab names and variable it's autocomplete and default documentation. So that's what. So we can select variable auto completion, so it will select variable auto completion. Then we have show icons with the tab names. This, when we turn this off, to hide the icons that appear next to tab names. Then we have a two pane view. So by default the postman displays a responses below requests. So turn this on to display the response and request panes. Now we'll also look into the postman browser agent. So let me close this and say control comma, and you see that these are the settings that we have here. So now I'm talking about the user interface, and here you can find the remote tabs. So remote tabs, Postman web app only. So use tabs in your browser to navigate Postman instead of in-app tabs. Okay. So then we have editor settings. So let me get back to the editor setting at the bottom most. So here you can find out the font family. So this is the font family that we are using. So font size in PX, I'll increase it. So to 13, that's fine. 14, okay. 18, that's okay. So indentation count is 4, absolutely fine. I don't want to touch it. And indentation type, so select here, we can select the indentation character type to use it. So either we can go for the space or tab. So I'll go to the space because 4 spaces we have given, or you can say tab also with saying count one tab, whichever is fine. Then we have auto close brackets. So when we turn this on to automatically add a closing bracket when you enter an opening bracket. So then we have auto close quotes. You see that here. When we turn, if we turn this on to automatically, we will turn this on to automatically add a closing quotation mark when we enter an opening quotation mark. Then the last one here is application. So we can select basically from here we can send anonymous usage data to Postman. So Postman gathers basic anonymous usage data to help with product improvement. So we can turn this off to stop sending anonymous usage data to Postman. So now we will move on to the themes tab in the settings window. So here we can see the themes. We can select a light or dark theme for Postman. So or else we can go with the system default one, whichever is fine. So then shortcuts. This is very helpful tab in Windows in settings window. So the shortcut tab displays all the keyboard shortcuts available in Postman. To turn off keyboard shortcuts, we can select the shortcuts toggle. So when we off it, we can't use that. We can't use the shortcuts. Anyway, so these are some of the shortcuts which we can see on the screen. So we can open new tab with Control plus T, and we can switch to last tab Control plus 9 and request. We can request a URL using Control plus L, and we can save request Control plus C, and we can save request as is Control plus Shift plus C, and we can send a request as Control plus Enter. So let's do that. Okay, let me close this and we'll come back to here. So this is our API, and what I'm gonna do is I will give I want to get a specific user. So for that, what I'm gonna do is, instead of fetching all users, I'll click on API and I'd say users, and you see that in users section. Okay, users, that's what the endpoint, and inside that endpoint I'll specifically fetch page 2. Okay, it's a page 2, page equals to 2. You see that page 1 and then page 2. So I'll say control enter. So there is some issue. Okay, this page 2, so you see that the parameters, this is what we have mentioned. This is our endpoint till here, till users. After the question mark, we'll start mentioning our parameters. Either we can do it from here or we can do it from the parameters section, whatever is the way. But anyway, could not send a request. So what I'll do is I'll change it now. I'll go for the another type of user. So I'll go for the single user. From this endpoint, I'll select the user which is number 2, and I'll say control enter, and could not send a request again. So because of that request timeouts, we have faced some issues. So I'll make it back to 0. So that's it, and I'll save it. Okay, the ones you given to 0, that's more than enough. So now let me close this and let's run this using a shortcut. That's control plus enter, and it's sending a request, and we have received the response to, and but this time it has called only one ID. That's ID number 2. That's ID number 2. Okay, and the avatar, this is the information about that ID, which consists of the email, first name, last name, and the avatar is the name of that ID. Okay, so that's how we use a shortcut, and I'll say control comma. Yeah, we got that. So these are the shortcuts here, and that's how we use the shortcuts to to quickly do the activities without moving across or navigating through the user interface of our Postman. So then we have few more. We can use few more shortcuts for the sidebar to search the sidebar and to toggle the sidebar. Control plus backward slash and cut item. These are the normal ones to rename group items. Cut item, copy, paste is common as usual, and duplicate and then delete. Just enter delete. The zoom in, zoom out, control plus plus plus, control minus plus minus minus, that's the zoom out, zoom in. So let's do that and we'll get back. So control, use that, and minus, zoom in, zoom out. And that's it. That's fine. Okay. So that's how we use the zoom in, zoom out and control comma to get into our settings and shortcuts. So few more. Here is that Windows and models and console. So to clear the console and then search the console. So that's it. That's about the shortcuts. So now we have a data tab in this. So we use the data tab to request a bulk export of Postman data or to import data. To begin the export process, we have to select export data. So we can choose to export alright, let's take into the browser. We can choose to export our collections, environments, or both. So we will receive an email when your dump file is ready to download. So that's what about the, and similarly we can import. So we can import a dump file may overwrite your existing collections and environments. So we have to be careful when you're dealing with this option. So I don't encourage you to use when you are at the beginner level, but I'm just showing the options that are available. Okay, so then we have add-ons. So we can select this link. So download Newman from npm. That's a node package manager. So and then we can include we can install Postman's command line companion. That's a new man. So when we integrate a new man with a Postman collections with our build system and runs, we can run automated API tests. So we can connect we can connect this with our DevOps pipelines. We can connect this with our Jenkins pipeline, and then we can run automated API tests and automated API calls. So for we can use a Newman, a command line integration with Newman. Newman, you can click on this Newman to download the Newman from npm for this. Then we have certificates. We can use the CS certificate basically, and then client certificates. Use the certificates tab to add and manage CS certificates and client certificates in Postman. Then we have proxy. So proxy is basically we can use this proxy tab to configure proxy settings for connecting to online services and sending API requests. Then we have updates tab, and here we can automatically download major updates if you enable it. So but for now I have disabled it, but anyway I'll keep it enabled so that I can download the major updates. And then or else it will check for the updates. At this moment I'm up to date. So with the Postman version 10.9.4, this is the latest version. It's absolutely up to date. Okay. Then we have about of the Postman. So this is the Postman version, user interface version, desktop, and then architecture. So yeah, that's all about Postman settings option.